Do you know what type of traveler you are? Or more importantly, the type of travelers coming with you? Understanding your travel style is the key to planning a successful trip. Whether you like a fast paced tour, seeing new sights every day, or want to embed yourself in the vibe and culture of a city, staying as long as you can, understanding your preferences and priorities will save you time, money, and avoid conflicts on your next adventure.
Welcome to the Travel More podcast.
Each episode, we share custom itineraries, travel hacks, expert advice, and even stories of our past travel failures to help you level up your travel game.
I'm Shelly, a lover of plans, itineraries, and cheap flights. I'm an expert deal finder with one eye always on the budget.
And I'm Bruce, the improviser, ready to pick up where plans fail to turn letdowns into unexpected trip favorites. We're here to bust through barriers that stop you from making your travel dreams a reality.
So book that flight, buy the tickets, and say hello to your next adventure.
This is the Travel More Podcast. Welcome back to the Travel More Podcast.
Welcome. We're a little late on this one.
We're
Oops.
falling a bit behind. The year is definitely catching up with us a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, starting school, like we've mentioned a million times, we both work in schools. Getting Ro into daycare, you know, the whole routine. So it's been a little crazy as we kind of figure out our new, normal.
I know, I think of that video you sent about parent math or something. Like, you're always calculating, if anybody who has a kid, especially a baby, you have like pockets of time where you hope to be able to do something. So definitely a challenge for us. And it kind of leads us into the topic of today, which we've brought this up in so many episodes, the idea of a travel style.
Yeah, we have brought this up. You know, as I was writing it, I was like, I feel like I've said some of these things like separately, but never all together like this.
Yeah, never all together. And, you know, Shelly and I, we just did the episode about like traveling with a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then what does that mean? What can you learn from what we've learned about knowing what you're coming into the picture with? You know,
right,
it's like, how are you going to plan? And if you don't know what your style is or what your situation is, I think it's going to be a lot harder to get a trip together that you're going to enjoy.
Yeah. Yes. I think for a lot of reasons, it's a good idea to know your travel style. One, it just helps you plan in general. Like, it helps with your budget. It helps figuring out destinations. But even more importantly to me, I think kind of rarely people travel alone. And not that they don't. People definitely solo travel. But I think the majority of people go with somebody else. And I think that learning your travel style will allow you to see if you mesh with someone before you are stranded with them in a foreign country.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Because it doesn't have to be a partner that you travel with. Bruce's mom, for example, travels with all kinds of people. And they've kind of learned to travel together, but knowing your travel style can kind of save you the headache in case it doesn't mesh.
It's funny, the more I think about this, it's kind of like, it's not, I was about to say like a Myers-Briggs personality test.
I mean,
it kind of has that flavor.
I get what you're saying.
Where,
yeah,
you start to compartmentalize, because I think it can be helpful. And if you don't do this, then you're going to fall into conflicts. So it's almost like traveling. I mean, you've heard if you're in relationships with someone, one of the bigger tests is, how did you do on a big trip together?
Yeah.
I think that's just because we know traveling is stressful,
and
it brings out a lot of different things.
Well, and I will also say, this is not to say that you can't travel with people who don't fit your personality. However, you could, if you know that right off the bat, you can kind of plan around that. So I can think of 2 instances where we've traveled with groups or people that didn't necessarily mesh in the moment of what we wanted to do and what our goals were, and it was fine. We still like them afterwards because we're still friends, because we kind of decided to do our own thing. Each of us decided to do our own thing and then come back together at the end. And I think that just kind of having that conversation and making that choice saved the trip for both of us.
Yes.
Because everyone got to do what they wanted to do. No one had any hard feelings, and we still got to hang out, have dinners together, have coffees in the morning. Everything was good.
See, if you listen to this episode, you're going to be a master communicator, know your boundaries in relationships, and have a wonderful life. This is it. 20 minutes in, you're going to be like, wow, I got this, guys. I don't need to go to therapy anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's fun to think about. And we've kind of split up this idea of your travel style into 4 different categories, each with kind of a spectrum or sorts of there's polar opposites to
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah. I
degree.
was gonna say this is a sliding scale. I would say very, very rarely is someone gonna fall like 100% in one camp.
Yeah, and also not every trip you take necessarily is going to be one of these all the time.
Absolutely. So different trips will kind of push you into different areas of each of these. So each one's gonna be a little different. But I think that for the most part, you can kind of tell which one you fall into. You know what I mean? Like when I was
Mhm.
doing this for us, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty obvious that we fall this way, that we fall that way. And only very few trips kind of did it take us outside of our norm, which are also kind of fun to do. Like if you know that your norm is one way and then you like purposefully have a trip that kind of challenges the norm, could be another fun way to do all kinds of things. But like for us, we've traveled a lot, and I think that purposefully recently we've been trying to think of trips that would push us outside of our norms.
Yeah, I think that's, especially if you've gone on plenty of adventures,
Yeah.
starting to look into something that you haven't done is a nice way. And it also reminds me, do you remember the TV show? It was like Bougie or Budget. What was it called?
Yeah, that was so good.
There
It
was
was on
only like one
Hulu.
season and it
It
was
was only one
awesome.
season. It was really cool.
Were they brothers?
I think so. Yeah, I think they were brothers, and I think it was called like Bougie or Budget or something like that. And it's essentially they like rock paper scissors for like who would get the budget like
Itinerary?
itinerary. No, it wasn't even an itinerary. I think they got to choose what they were doing, but they got like a certain amount of money. So it's like you either got like the low budget amount of money or you got like the bougie budget,
Yes, the
um,
luxury.
the luxury one. Yeah, and then you got to decide like your hotels and what you did. That was actually really cool.
I like that because there are sometimes, some people might listen and think, well, obviously luxury is always going to be better.
Yeah,
And,
well, not necessarily.
but
Yeah.
no, not, I mean, it really just comes down to the experience because they went to the same place. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
same location.
Oh
But
yeah, that's good point.
anyway, so why don't we outline the four
Okay.
and then we can dive into each one a little bit.
Okay.
So we've grouped this into adventure versus like relaxation,
Mm-hmm.
and then slow versus touring,
Mm-hmm.
luxury versus budget, like we just mentioned,
Mhm.
and city versus nature.
Yeah. So let's start with slow versus touring. And I know that that was out of order of the ones you just said, but I just feel like this is such a hot topic right now. A lot of people
for sure.
like in the travel sphere are talking about slow travel, and for good reason. I think slow travel kind of lends itself into being more sustainable,
Mhm.
and being a little more like responsible and like earth friendly. But it is not always like an option for people, especially if you have limited vacation time. So it's a little bit like, yeah, it would be nice, to do
Yeah,
that.
to take a month off,
Right. For many people, it's like, yeah, if only, right? You'd like to do that, but there's just no time for it. But you can do it even with limited time. It just means that the number of places that you're going to see overall is going to be lower. So let's just kind of define, I guess, slow versus touring. So touring's obvious, at least in my head, which is that you don't spend very long in one place.
Right.
So you're bouncing around, you're trying to kind of see the main events, the highlights, and then you're on to the next place.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're on a tour.
No.
It just means you're traveling to, yeah, like Shelly said, to the highlighted things in each place. You're not spending too long. And honestly, when I think about too long, I know for Shelly and me, that's like maybe 2 nights.
I was about to say.
For other people, it might be like a week somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I mean, still, even a week in a big city, there's
gonna be a lot.
There's a lot
to do.
you could do.
Yeah. Like for example, when we went to London, we were in essentially London proper for a week, and we didn't even like scratch the surface of London.
Oh no, London's huge.
But that's what I mean, and that's like actually a place that we've stayed, probably one of the longest we've ever stayed in one city.
Right.
And even then, it was like, there's no way.
Well, not to
Like,
mention
just so
we did
much.
day trips too.
Yeah, but I think we only did like, I guess we did 2-day trips. But that's still 5 days in London. I think that's the longest we've stayed in a place.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I'm lying, but I don't think so. I think
Norway?
that's...
No, even there we moved around.
I was gonna say Norway is actually my example of touring in a minute.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Oh,
Because
you
that
did.
was like the craziest, fastest trip in the whole wide world. So yeah, we were in the country of
I
Norway.
guess, yeah, I was about to say like
for like 3 weeks.
a single
but
country.
Yeah, that's not quite the same thing. Anyways, so yes, it depends on where you are as what you're kind of defining slow travel as. So slow travel, no one well, I'm not gonna say no one, but as I was researching this just to get like, because I have my own definition, I was like, well, let me see if that like is the definition other people have of slow travel.
Sure.
And honestly, I found a ton of different definitions, but they all kind of circled around this fact of like you're not moving around as much or really at all. And it's about kind of like cultural immersion or trying to kind of be in the place, truly visit like a local. Like I'm talking like get an apartment, you're doing laundry, you're cooking in your house. Not that you don't eat out at all, but like you're really just like living there and kind of seeing what it's like to live there. Going to the same cafe every morning and like you get to know the people who work there. Like you know what I mean? Like that kind of idea, that kind of vibe. That's not to say that you don't do some touristy things. Like, you know, you may go see like a famous temple or you may go to, I don't know, a famous landmark, but it's definitely not the focus of your trip. You know,
Right.
I think that's kind of the idea is like, what is the focus of this? Is it literally just to see all the big things? Like our trip in Rome was literally like hit all the major landmarks and then we were out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, I actually had as an example of slow travel for us because we have almost no examples, but one of our like slower vibes, I guess, was Sant'Agata.
Oh yeah, in Italy.
Yeah, because that one, like, first of all, there are no major landmarks in that city, so it wasn't like we could just like hit. And I mean, we got to know quite a few people that worked in that city, because we'd go to the same cafes and we were going to the same stores and we were talking to people and we were kind of just like being there.
Right.
And yes, we didn't have a ton of time there. So like that, if we had a little more time, I could really stamp it as slow travel. But I think our intentions there were slow travel esque.
Yeah, especially with the accommodation we got.
That's what I mean.
And I
yeah.
think that's another aspect of this. Because even if you're
Yes.
thinking about yourself, if you're going to give yourself a rating, like 1 to 10, 1
Mhm.
being slow, like, I almost want to say 1 is almost like study abroad slow, where you're like
You like
being
live
somewhere.
there.
Yeah, like the extreme example of that, where it's like, is this even traveling anymore? Or is
Right.
it just
Or
relocating?
do I just live here now? Yeah.
But you're not, it's not permanent versus 10 being like every day it is a new city.
Yeah.
You're just constantly on the move and you're doing really highlighted stuff. Where would you fall on what you'd want with that? But I do definitely think your accommodation is going to change that a lot too. Like when we stayed there,
Mhm.
in Italy and it's Sant'Agata, we had a little kitchen. It was like an apartment.
Yeah.
So you could actually go shop and
We
do
did.
things, and we did.
Yeah.
And I think that's a different vibe for sure than you're not worried about your accommodation and that's just a place to sleep because you're going to be out and about.
Right. Definitely.
And that's less important. And I think
Yeah,
for
that's a good
touring-
point.
Yeah, for touring, and honestly, another aspect of touring, I think about like, was it Thon hotels
Yep.
in Norway or what's the one in France? There's another
Ibis.
Ibis.
Is that how you say that?
Those are the kind of
IBIS.
places that like you could build, or like certain hostel chains around
Yeah.
touring.
Yeah.
Because like it's there, it's cheap. There's usually a breakfast. You're up and you're out.
Yeah, right. It's like a Holiday Inn.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like it's clean, the bed's nice,
It's
like I'm in
consistent.
and out. Yeah, exactly.
You don't really care about that. That's not you're not there for that.
Hey, speaking of that 1 to 10, I think if 1 is slow, like you're saying, study abroad travel, and 10 is like a different city every day, I think that like if we were going to rank our travel style, generally, of course, this could change based on the trip, as we just mentioned, but I think generally speaking, we would fall somewhere between a 7 and an 8.
I think so. I mean, I think that's part because at least in the time in our life that we've been traveling, we've wanted to do as much as we can.
Yeah.
So with the time that we have, we try to get out there and do it.
But I do think that maybe having kids is going to slow us down. I said that about Italy and it definitely didn't. However, looking back on Italy, I almost wish it was a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have spent more time in Sant'Agata. You know what I mean?
Well, and the more I like, like we've done a couple trips now with our family going to like Maine every summer,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels a little slower. And
Yeah,
it's
it
like
feels way
it's like
slower.
a yearly thing, and it's becoming almost tradition.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like having a trip that's slower because it is more relaxing.
Yeah.
You can kind of get into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas most of the trips we've taken have been stressful, and even if
Yeah.
they're fun, they're like
Well, you're
tiring.
doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they're tiring.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, we could. I wanted to give an example of like our trips that kind of fit in each of these categories, and touring is every trip we've ever taken. But Norway is the one I was gonna say is a good example of a touring trip because we were there like I think for probably 2 weeks straight,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally don't think we were in one city more than 2 nights.
Yeah, we moved a ton.
A ton. Even when we went to Svalbard, we were there for like 3 nights, and that was a flight away.
Yeah,
That wasn't just a
it
train.
was a lot of
It
movement.
was a lot of movement.
I actually would say was our first trip to Europe together when we went with our friends years ago. Remember, if you listen to our video, our podcast about what was the Capital One card that we got, like
Yeah.
our first credit card, how it paid for that trip.
Yeah.
That was a tour, man. The Flixbus.
Yeah, that's actually coming up because I have that as our budget trip.
Oh, I didn't even read ahead. See, guys, this is why I need
No,
you do your homework.
that was a tour, but honestly, that one to me felt similar to how ours always is. It's just that transportation was
Maybe it's just the Flixbus.
Ooh, that one that really was tiring. But I don't think that we moved any faster. I just don't think we were as comfortable.
I think that's a good point. It just
Yeah.
felt like it was harder
Yeah.
because it was.
Because it was a budget, which we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, right now.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a
Yeah.
great transition into luxury versus budget.
Yeah.
Now, wait, is luxury a 10 and budget is 1?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it has to be.
Right, yeah. That, I mean, to me that made sense. I thought it was helpful to like put numbers on it because it's like a sliding scale a little bit. So for us, I would say that we're like a 4. So budget's 1, luxury's 10. I think most of our trips stay around a 4. And the reason I say that is this. Budget to me, like a real budget trip. Well, if we're going as a 1, that's like couch surfing or like
Yeah.
home trading. Or like you're
Yeah, that's-
literally not paying for accommodations. You're either trading your own house, which you can do, with other people, or some people do like dog sitting or like cat sitting and then in exchange for like a place to stay. Yeah, I've seen all of these. And then couch surfing to me is the scariest. I don't understand how people do it, but they do.
One is like you're washing dishes to pay for your dinner.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. It's extremely like extreme budget.
On a shoestring.
Right. And then luxury, a 10 out of 10 luxury. I don't even know like what this would look like. I literally didn't have an example for it as one of our trips, but to me it's like completely like bespoke. Like it's like everything is planned out for you. You do nothing. You walk outside of your accommodation and someone comes and picks you up and takes you to wherever you're going. Your accommodation is 5 stars. Your restaurants all have reservations. Like to me that's like full luxury.
See, I think you bring up a good point for people to consider here about what budget and luxury is because yes, luxury involves money, but it's not just a 5-star 5-diamond resort. It's also the concept of not having to think.
Yeah.
You know, like we could almost argue a subscale is kind of like how much are you in charge of your own trip versus are you paying somebody to take that away from you? And I think that, so even if it's like not luxury in the sense of 5-star hotel, but it is in the sense that like I am not worrying about a thing. I have my other people are doing transportation. I don't need to worry about, I have someone who's going to translate. Like,
funny you should say that because do you know what I have as our luxury vacation?
Ooh, I think I know. Did you put our Uganda trip?
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because
clearly we were on the same wavelength there.
Yeah.
So Uganda was not luxury in the way of like, I mean, it was really nice accommodations, but they weren't like, I don't know, like the
Maldives. I keep thinking like what you
St.
see.
Regis or
Right.
what are those like really big? I don't even know the names of them.
Spa resorts.
Yeah, I like literally can't think of any of them. It's probably because we'll never stay. But they're really really fancy, like 4-season kind of deals, like the ones on Ritz-Carlton.
That's what you're thinking.
That was the one in
that
my head.
level of hotel, the classic.
Yeah. It wasn't that type of luxury, but it was luxury in terms of what you just said, which
White
is
glove
we
service.
literally showed up. They took our luggage, and then they just brought us. Or they just told us where to go, or like where to meet them. Really, so it was like, okay, meet us here, and meet us in the lobby at 5 a.m. And we're like, sure. And we got up and we were there. And then the day they took us, there our day. You know, we didn't have to decide restaurants. Obviously, hotels you would decide beforehand, but we didn't even do that. They booked all of those, all of our touring. I mean, literally everything was taken care of. So to me, that was our most luxury trip. It was also our most expensive trip ever. So I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
I know, even though, because we were staying at moderate tier accommodation, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Again, it is just interesting because I think when people hear luxury, they usually think it's like, I don't know, the white bathrobe, the spa on site, that kind of luxury. But I think it really can expand to what we're talking about. Yeah,
that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that concept. I mean, I guess I like kind of thought about it, but not in those words, which is a really good point in like considering what luxury means, because it doesn't always mean like caviar.
So maybe you can give yourself 2 scores, right? And for 2 different reasons. You know, are you on a tight budget and or do you want to make it a budget? Because when you experience things in that way, you're gonna have different opportunities, adventures, and experiences, meet different people in different ways. But
yeah, it's completely different because You know, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this conversation because feel like we've talked about this before, but I also think that some people would consider like touring to be like not as authentic. Like you're not getting as authentic of an experience because
Right.
you're not having to decide all those things. However, I think I experienced Uganda in a very authentic way.
I agree. Yeah.
And like actually one of our more authentic trips that we've taken, authentic in a way that like I'm trying to explain this or trying to figure out how to explain this, but it wasn't like, when we went to Paris, we did all of that on our own. But what did we do in Paris? We went to the Louvre and we went to the Eiffel Tower and we went to Disneyland Paris. You know what I mean? Like those things to me.
Kind of like surface level,
Yeah.
the typical things.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's another example of what does it mean to be authentic when you're traveling. And I think sometimes people misuse the word to describe struggling through an experience on your own. And that somehow means you had a more real example of what the place was. I just think that's not it. I mean, there were people. So let's take Uganda for example. There were some students I remember. I don't know if we talked to them or at least we saw them who were there working at refugee, like it was the Rhino Sanctuary.
Yeah, sanctuary.
And they were on bodas, like motorbikes. They were figuring out their own way. They were there for a long time and they were working there. They weren't visiting. They had an authentic experience, but it was definitely not the same that we had.
Yeah.
But I would argue the tour operator was from Uganda.
Yep.
Almost everywhere we went, they tried to source people who actually owned and were from Uganda, not from some outside, country coming in and establishing resorts or something like that. So everything we did and talked to and met the people, they were all local and authentic. Like it just happened to be tourism,
right?
Like the intention of it was to give you experiences and do it in a way that you're not, you paid for that to be curated.
Right.
So I would still say like what we did was something you could have done in your own struggle.
Yeah.
But I think it would be difficult in that place.
Yeah. I mean, even me, like I love to plan, and the idea of trying to plan that trip in Uganda. Even having gone already.
Yeah.
I literally don't know how you'd go about it. You know what I mean? Like I've been there. Even if I use the same hotels, I'm not exactly sure.
I'm gonna leave that to like vloggers and people who go to far and wide.
Just pay people that live in the country because it's a great way to support the people too. Like I would 100%. I mean, Primate World Safaris, who we use, I can link them just for fun in the show notes if you're looking to do anything like that. But that was like one of my favorite trips of all time.
Well, and it was it turned my viewpoint around on the concept of like booking a guided tour.
Me too.
Because I was someone who thought that's not as authentic. They're putting you in this like little trap, kind of like a cruise ship often does.
Yeah.
I think that's a good example. Like cruise ship drops you off on an island. They've got a little fancy mall with gates up all around it. And that is absolutely the definition of like not authentic.
Yeah.
Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that is not the Dominican Republic. That is just Carnival Cruise Line's corral, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's cruising. Yeah, that's just going on the beach and having a drink. But anyway, so I think when you think about,
we have a whole cruise episode about how you can have authentic experiences cruising.
Well,
but I know what you're saying right now is like going to those big islands and getting kind of like corralled around like cattle almost, where it's like, here you go. That's different.
Well,
than
there's nothing wrong with that.
Like the touring. Yeah.
It's just something. It's just different. So you probably wouldn't be able to say I have an authentic experience of that island if you just visited the cruise port. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
At least we can't.
But anyway, that doesn't mean that a guided tour couldn't give you. It kind of cuts to the chase. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like so. Anyway, luxury and budget.
Yeah. So wait, our budget trips.
Yes.
Like when I'm talking budget, I mean budget. I would say because I gave the luxury one as Uganda. But then our budget, I would say the trip out west was definitely a budget trip.
Oh, for sure. I think campsites. It was
say we camped in almost everything.
$1 a night.
Yeah.
It was all car camping.
Vault toilets, no running water.
Yeah,
would stay every couple days at like an actual hotel so we could take a shower.
Right.
But yeah, it was definitely, and we were eating with bologna sandwiches in the car.
Oh yeah, we had coolers and we got our groceries.
Yeah, that was definitely a budget travel. And then the other one was that first trip.
Flixbus?
Yeah, because of the Flixbus. And that was really where the difference for us, at least, was in terms of money, because transportation, and we're going to talk about this at the end, but if you're touring, one of your biggest expenses could be transportation because you have to get around everywhere. And so for us, we we bought like this special they had. It was like €100 for like 5 bus stops or something.
One-way trips.
One-way trips, yeah. So
Doesn't matter how long.
yeah. So one of them was like Budapest to Munich, and it was like 14 hours. It was some ridiculous amount of time, 9 hours. I don't know what it was, but it was overnight, and it was terrible. It was so hot, and people were just like drinking and partying on the bus, and we hadn't slept, and it was just
Yeah, it was
like,
exhausting.
oh my gosh. So that was another one of our
I think
budget
the only
trips.
type of delirium I've experienced since then has been with a newborn.
Yeah.
Just like no sleep.
Yeah,
but-
just tired. So the next time is busy versus relaxed. So I mean, I'm not even gonna explain those two categories because I think you all figured that out. But us, I would say we probably, if 1 is relaxed and 10 is busy, then we're probably at a 7.
Yeah, I think we generally, this kind of goes back to touring and slow travel a little bit.
A little bit,
Although
yeah.
you could be, slow travel still kind of means you're staying in a certain space.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could be a busier slow travel, like, because it's more about, when I say busy,
Activities.
I'll say I meant more like in your day. Like, are you going and sitting on a beach, or are you literally walking the city every day, like all day?
Right.
It's like those people who walk New York City from end to end.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, yeah.
if you were doing that and you were staying in New York for a week and all you were doing is walking Manhattan, you could say that you slow traveled Manhattan. Because it's, you were just there experiencing the city, and you weren't just like going Empire State Building, like, all the things.
This has more to do with itinerary.
Yes, that's what I mean. So
how
it's like in the
packed your
day,
yeah.
right? It's like, are you just sitting in a cafe all morning, or are you going and like literally walking the entire square before breakfast?
Mhm.
Like that's the kind of busy versus relaxed.
Yeah, I'd say we're definitely on the 7 or 8.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really sit well. Even when we go on beach vacations, I feel like we sit for like a half a day and we're like, okay, now what?
Yeah, I think morning beach day relaxed is about what I like.
Yeah. So for us, probably our only relaxing vacations that I could even come up with, unless I miss something, is cruising. Like, because it kind of forces you to,
Mhm.
because sometimes you're like stuck on the boat for the day. Like if you have a day at sea. And I'd say that, like, because there's literally nothing we can be missing. I feel like we have really bad FOMO.
I think that's a good reason to take a cruise. I know
Yeah.
I was speaking somewhat negatively before, but really,
It's like literally our next trip is a cruise.
no, I actually love cruises. And to anybody who's never taken one but thinks they'll hate it, you should just go on one. Now that you have to be careful which one you pick.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. But
we have a whole episode on how to help you with that.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I was surprised how that there's a lot of listens on that one too.
Yeah,
maybe we
it
should talk
is.
about cruises again.
Yeah,
But
right?
after we've gone on a couple more, maybe we'll revisit it. But
Yeah.
I want to highlight a point. I always love that your dad says he likes cruises because he has no cell service.
Yeah,
And I think-
because he's an entrepreneur, so he owns his own
Right.
business. Yeah.
So there is something to be said about a cruise because it forces certain things, like you're not on the internet. You don't. I mean, you could be, but like you're not. You
Don't
don't have
buy
to.
the
be.
internet
Don't buy the internet package. You have no cell service. Just disconnect and just follow the itinerary of the day.
Yeah, you like wake up and you're like, so what am I doing today? It's
Yeah,
it is like a very freeing type vacation, especially multi-generational. But this is not an episode about cruising, but I do agree that like that to us is probably our most relaxing.
Yep.
And then our busiest that I could think of, and again, we have very busy vacations, so it could be many things, but I think Uganda is
Oh,
up
yeah,
there.
That was crazy.
We would wake up. I mean, we literally the thing that our tour guide said, George, was like, you can sleep on the plane. Like we went sun up to sundown every single day until like our 17th day there, 16th day there, and we ended up at this place. And he's like, here are your options, but you also can just relax. And we're like, we're just gonna relax.
Yeah, I feel like it was like, do you want a kayak, water ski, hike, or like? I'm like, no.
Yeah, we're like, we just
Sleep.
want to drink tea and sit here, and that's what we did.
We
And
needed to
it
recover.
was the most beautiful like accommodation we had the whole time. It was like, we're gonna take advantage of the view here, and we're just
Just
gonna sit. So, anyways, that one, and then I mean, this Italy trip that we just did was kind of crazy too. After we left Sant'Agata, like all the Rome stuff, Rome in a day, like every major thing in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Florence. We did all these day trips, hours away from Florence in a rental car. Like that's pretty crazy. And then Norway. Those are my 3 biggest, busiest trips, I think.
Definitely.
Okay. The last one is city versus nature.
Mm.
So I think, and I really was like going back and forth with this, I think we're kind of right down the middle on this one. Like in
think so,
terms
too.
of what we like to do.
Yeah, because I mean, it's hard to group everything you could do. But I do think city and nature is a good way to split it up
Yeah.
because you're either doing things that are centric to a city
Yeah.
or a town or something.
Or like more outdoorsy things.
Yeah, or you're getting into nature and seeing, as far as like backpacking. If we were going to do this, like nature could be one, let's say, and that's going to be, I would probably.
True nature, yeah, that could be like that canoe trip you can take
expedition
in South America. Remember that guy? We were in Norway. Our kayak on one of the kayak tours. Our guide was saying that on the off season in Norway, he goes to South America. I think it was South America.
It was either South America, Australia. I
also thought it was maybe Australia. Okay, it's one of those places for sure.
Yep.
And he would do this like 2-week canoe trip where you were essentially backpacking but in a canoe, and there like you had to get helicoptered out or something because the
tide
would go out and like strand you there. I don't know. It was crazy sounding trip.
That's right, because then he would have to go back with jeeps and drag the canoes.
That's right.
Back to the starting point.
Yes, because you couldn't go backwards. It was like a one way. Yeah, so like that's a 1. Is true.
That might be a 0.5.
That's a true outdoorsy thing. And then obviously a 10 is just being in a major city the whole time.
10 is like New York City.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Paris.
I would say we're in the middle. I think we like to get out of the city to some type of nature, like most all
pretty
trips.
Much anytime we go somewhere, if it makes sense to.
Yeah. Or at least we try to like balance the trips. Like if we do a city trip, we don't do like all city trips in a year typically. Right. So we try to do something that's like a little more. But I think as we're going, like I'm thinking about the trips that are coming up soon, and I think they're mostly outdoorsy.
Yeah, like Christmas, Panama, rainforest,
exactly,
all that kind of stuff.
And I think that that's purposeful because I think with young kids, toddlers, maybe even regular kids, I'm not really sure because I don't have any, or elementary school. It's easier.
Regular kids.
Well,
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
she's a baby. Yeah. She's a regular baby.
It's easier to keep them
not
entertained
diet baby.
in the nature. Is what I mean.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
I think it's true because there's a lot you could do or you know what? There's a lot you might want to do in the city that kids don't care about yet.
Yeah.
And likewise, I mean, there are certain things you could do in nature that might be too advanced for a kid, but it's easy to scale. Really easy. And I mean, I would say children. Let's not talk babies, but even like she's gonna be 1 year old.
Yeah.
And like just going and seeing gardens and like animals. She's gonna be into that.
Panama?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing like a boat tour and through the rainforest. She's gonna love that.
The sights, like,
right? And then we're gonna be on the beach. Like everyone loves a beach. You know what I mean? Like those are things that feel very accessible to her. Where like going to a European city is really cool for us, but I just feel like she's gonna end up in her stroller a lot of the time, kind of walking around with us.
Or if the stroller even makes it, but like.
Yeah.
All the steps. But I mean, yeah, if you're going to see cultural things, museums, or you want to see shows, nightlife, and food, it's just not really always the thing.
Not for little ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that we're gonna be kind of leaning into. Also, I've just kind of wanted to lean more into nature. Like I really want to do Asia. We've never done anything in Asia and South America, like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of opportunities to get out in nature in both of those continents. So I
yeah, I would think so. It's a whole continent. It's just funny.
I just mean
no, I know what you mean. It's just like the entire like mountain range of Nepal. Just
yes. All the beaches in Southeast Asia, like yes.
No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah, there's a ton like that we've yet to even lay foot.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too.
But anyways, so I guess do I even need to explain city versus nature? Because our trips are half and half.
No, there
we
you
went
go.
out west for this nature, and Norway was a lot of nature, not a lot of city. But then things like Paris is a city, obviously, and Budapest and Munich, and yeah, yada yada yada, a lot of them.
See, so now we need to come up with like INFJ or whatever. Like,
oh yeah, we'll get rich off of our travel personality.
Travel psychology.
Yeah, get on that.
The American
Master
Journal
Psychology.
of Travel Science.
Yeah.
That's what we're coining today.
Yeah. Well, anyways, how do you use this? Our last little piece here. So the ways I would use, like if I really like sat with this and just thought like, where do I fall on this scale personally? Or where do me and my travel partner fall if you travel with one person in particular a lot, like Bruce and I? I think it can help you do a few things. how I would use it is when I'm searching for destinations or even things within a destination, if I already know where I'm going, I try to find like bloggers or Instagram, I guess, but really bloggers that kind of fall in the same categories as me,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like the things that they find are going to be things that I inherently like because we have a similar
Preference.
preferences, right? And how we're spending money and time and everything else. So I definitely try to like find those people so that I can get some ideas. So I have a few blogs I go back and forth with for that. And then the other thing is if you're using it to plan the budget. That would be another big one.
Right.
Right, where it's like if you're slow traveling, hotel or not hotel, but like whatever your accommodation is probably going to be a big part of your budget because you're probably going to be there for a while. Where like if you're touring, like we said before, transportation is going to be a huge part of your budget.
Mm-hmm. And maybe even food. Because you might go out to eat more than cook in.
Right, exactly. Actually, I almost put that. So I think that actually I said and potentially food. That's funny.
There you go.
And so I think that kind of knowing what your travel style is can help you give a realistic budget, because how many of us has been like, yeah, we'll spend like $1,000 on food, and then you come back and you look at it and you're like, actually it was a lot more than that, or whatever it is. So if you really want to be realistic about your budgets, which will obviously help you travel more continuously if you can budget for it well, then I think that knowing your travel style can help you do that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be a quick one, but of course, brought up so many other thoughts and ideas.
We always get on little tangents.
I still think we need to coin an ENFJ, INF, whatever it is.
I'm telling you.
Well, hold on. Let's do ours real quick, because we said our first category was, did we go budget? No, we did luxury or budget first.
No,
slow. Sorry.
Yeah, slow traveling.
I was like, I have the list. I'm like, we did it in out of order.
We did.
So we're definitely touring.
Yeah.
So T, and then budget or luxury.
Budget.
TB.
Okay.
And then
This doesn't spell something terrible. You're doing this on the cuff, off the cuff right now.
Wait, pause. So touring, budget, and then I guess we could do adventure, relaxing adventure. So TBA, and city and nature. Probably. You think city?
I mean,
TBAC.
I don't know. See, this is what I mean, though. I feel like there needs to be like a middle ground one.
See, now we have to come up with a quiz for everybody.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
this is on you. Wait, what was our final?
That was it. City or nature. Oh, that's what I think we lean city.
Yeah, but I think we're going to lean nature. But I think from this point, like back, like from coming to this point, it's definitely city. So what was our final?
TBAC or N.
Wait, also the adventure one. I think I changed that one to relax or busy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so because adventure felt like not the right
You're
word.
right, because of expedition and all that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be like zip lining versus, you know what I mean? So I
busy.
changed it to busy.
Oh, so T double B.
B squared. B squared is our trivia name.
There it is.
I should have known.
Anyway, at this point, you've probably already moved on to your next podcast episode. Maybe we'll come up with names for these and acronyms, but the point is, it's fun to do this and think about your style. So hopefully this gets your conversation going so you can actually book the next trip.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd love to know where you're going. As always, you can always email us. We've already helped a couple people plan some trips that are coming up, and I mean, just gave advice, really.
Yeah.
But we always like to hear from you. So
yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Till next time.
Did you know that every time you book a Disney or Universal vacation, you're paying for a service that you may not even be using?
Really?
That's right. Travel agent costs are added to your Disney or Universal vacation, whether you use one or not.
So you're telling me that I'm paying for something even though I'm not getting the help?
You got it. So next time you want to book a theme park vacation, make your money work for you. By booking with Magic Pass Travel, you'll get our expertise and years of experience without paying any extra and while supporting a small business.
Check out our show notes to find our contact information.
Can't wait to help you plan your next adventure.